This is Thunder, full name Selena Lopez. She was a wrestler in Mexico, but became a part-time coach, and eventually went back to wrestling with her boyfriend Ampere. So before we talk about her life, let's talk about before the whole Fire vs. Water storyline came to be. Thunder is actually the second Pokesona to be drafted onto the lore. However, like Chase, her life is different outside of my YouTube channel. In the lore, Thunder was a tomboy Pikachu who survived her dark past but put it all aside once she grew up. Outside of it, Thunder is a flirtatious Pikachu and a heavy fighter, more so than her boyfriend. Also outside of the lore, she and Ampere also have a Pikachu son named Pedro, and if you follow my Twitter, that Pikachu is known for, well, for the sake of YouTube standards, I'm not going into detail about that. Although her boyfriend suddenly appears in Fire vs. Water 5, there is no backstory about him. Ampere is first seen in a cutaway gag where she wrestles one of the anti-Pokemon cult members. Even I have no idea why he was there, and I honestly don't know why I animated him in the first place. However, taken out of context, it feels like Ampere was kidnapped by Rekai, so I guess that's why in the first place. Speaking of the lore, Thunder appears in the second Fire vs. Water novel, Maternal Bonds, where she and a Scorbunny named Nibbles are prisoners of war. They meet Geo, who was captured after they destroyed a water team's naval base. In Fire vs. Water 4, she shares a chapter with Chase, which is an extended scene from Chase Goes to School. In Marcus's short story, she and her brother presumably appear and are presumably mentioned by their trainer and Marcus's friend, Esperanza Lopez. What's your favorite type? I like the electrics. I even have a Pikachu. Thunder's age was revealed in both Chase Goes to School and Fire vs. Water 5. Near the end of Chase Goes to School, Thunder confirms that she's turning 18 in the current year 2025.
18 this year, and no, these aren't my children.
And in Fire vs. Water 5, she confirms that she was 13 when she was stuck in the prison camp, but doesn't reveal how long she's been kidnapped.
You know, I did a lot of manly activities when I was 13, and I was a Pichu then. That's how I became a Luchador.
Don't you mean Luchador?
Although in the Slow Burner video, Esperanza had gone missing since January 8th, 2020. So it would really make Thunder 12 years old when she was first kidnapped. And according to a community post, I have confirmed that Cinco de Mayo is Thunder's birthday, and early May appears to be the last day of school in the region for whatever reason. Thunder is still traumatized from the war even though her tomboyish personality says otherwise. In fact, she was still distraught over the loss of her trainer Esperanza and was probably having a tough time finding closure. In her later teens when she was learning wrestling, she picked up new disgusting tactics and had an unexplainable ability to change size on her own. And it's because of this she feels guilty and imagines that Esperanza is grimacing up in heaven, watching her take wrestling to a disgusting level. And in some cases she casually mentions what she's been through, like in Fire vs. Water 5 when she became a coach and told the students that she did hard labor in a camp. And it's why she became a Luchador, or Luchadora according to Playtime. Longtime subscribers would realize that Thunder's design almost varied. Her current model is the Pokken model, while her past model was from the recent Game Freak releases. As for her voice, she's among those voiced by me. In fact, I use the same exact effects for Quest's voice as well.
Now, first things first, ladies. Drop and give me 20. But I can't do push-ups. Get down or I'll make you do 40.
Thunder's personality was undecided during development. Before expanding the universe, it seems she did not change all that much. As mentioned, she's a bit of a tomboyish jerk to practically everyone. However, despite this attitude, she's still a person. In Fire vs. Water 4, Thunder admitted to being homesick, even though she literally was in Mexico after the war. What she meant by that, it's not the same spending time with Esperanza, or her brother, Ryan. In Chase Goes to School, she is almost ashamed of her decision to wrestle the way she does. And when she heard Chase got beat up, she angrily yelled that she'd rip Jack to shreds. And in Fire vs. Water 5, we see Thunder and Fear mostly in Part 2. Leading up to relationships, Thunder seems to be a bit of a jerk to everybody, like I said before. She understandably hates the fire team for kidnapping and killing her trainer Esperanza Lopez, and learned that the leader, Gabriel Alphonse, was racist. So racist he tore up her Spanish book and threw the remains at her when she was a Pichu. She gets along with her prison mates, Geo and Nibbles, but not all of the prison guards. However, she does mention that some guards were nice enough to play her favorite song, the demo version of All the Other Girls by Avid Dancer, which would become her leitmotif in the lore soundtrack and her wrestling theme.
It's the only thing that kept me happy while I was in the camp. The guards were nice enough to play the song every night.
Now, moving away from the antagonists of the lore, Thunder gets along with a few other characters. She treats Pablo and Miguel like brothers after saving their lives from a Persian. They returned the favor and lived in a small cabin near an island. In fact, the twins even freaked out when Thunder got kidnapped in Fire vs. Water 5, and Pablo was relieved that she was still alive. Her brother Ryan is supportive of her, revealed in Fire vs. Water 4, but slowly got annoyed with her and Chase goes to school. In the former story, she let her brother expose himself to a Thunderstone so that he could evolve, although Pablo and Miguel wanted Thunder to evolve and move on when she was rejected from a wrestling school. It's assumed they never saw each other throughout the Fire-Water Civil War when their trainer, Esperanza, was kidnapped. In the Devil's Mirror video, which is after Maternal bonds and before Starter Rescue, Thunder and Ryan freeze upon seeing each other in the prison camp. They even hug before rescued by a blue sniper. Many of Thunder's other relationships aren't entirely outlined in the lore, however. Thunder is friendly and protective of Chase and Chase goes to school. She may share Coach Elson's sadistic ideas for games in Fire vs. Water 5, and find Mr. Park's methods boring. So, Thunder doesn't seem to interact with a few other characters all that much, and that may be because she's lethal. In Fire vs. Water 2 Maternal Bonds, Thunder stabbed Baker to death with an arrow. In A Nightmare in Fire vs. Water 5, she assumingly killed mobsters when she left Mexico. In the same field, she overcharged First Prize to the point where he failed to function, slammed Kelly with her tail after changing size, increased the speed of a ceiling fan which has a combine hanging by its leg nailed onto a fan blade, and crushed an anti-Pokemon cult member just by jumping and landing on his face. Despite her semi-violent nature, she doesn't think it's a problem. She assumes that her tactics against other wrestlers were relatively harmless. However, her fear of going back to Mexico says otherwise. In fact, she even believes that people can withstand her powers and abilities. Even First Prize can feel pain when he's being recharged.
I felt pain, but I feel energized.
See? Even this thing can handle me.
So, that's all there is to Thunder's past. Let's go on to all events. Thunder is first introduced in Fire vs. Water 2 Maternal Bonds, which takes place between December 2019 and July 2020. However, prior to the war, she and her brother are adopted by a girl named Esperanza Lopez in a Mexican region. At some point, Lopez's family goes to the current region and Thunder and Ryan earn their names. Around December of 2019, where Alphonse kills Casper, Esperanza's family attends the funeral with Thunder and Ryan. On January 8th of 2020, she gets kidnapped by the fire team, and so are Ryan and Thunder. Thunder spends most of her time tightening bullets and shells and would probably learn how to fight. In July, she and her prison mate Nibbles would meet Gio, who got captured after an attack near the docks. They agreed to escape after Gio senses that Alphonse would die, which comes to fruition thanks to Hunter and the Torcat. The trio escape but get stuck in the vents due to Nibbles being fat, and when they're finally free, they flee, but Gio is caught. The three will work together in killing Kelly and Baker, the guards that would threaten to take them back. After Maternal Bonds, Thunder finds her brother, Ryan. They both leave the war zone in a helicopter, and like other abandoned Pokemon, are taken to a shelter. And to tease the remastered version of Starter Rescue, the two are adopted by an elderly couple, who are both unaware of their activities. Thunder would leave the region on her own while Ryan would team up with the Navy on rescuing Mudkip, Torchic, and Shriko. When Thunder makes it to Mexico, she finds out that Esperanza and her family were mourned for about a day before going back to regular society. Unhappy with how her family was partially treated, she planned to move back until she encountered a Persian bullying a Plusle and a Minun. She threw dirt at his face, telling it to, quote, make like a pussycat and get lost. Thunder then learns that the Plusle and Minun are orphan twins named Pablo and Miguel. They all reside in a cabin somewhere near a beach. At some point, Thunder finds kids wrestling like Luchador wrestlers and teaches herself how to wrestle. When she shows up to become a student at a wrestling school, she is mocked for being the only girl there, until she became a fighter. With being accepted and respected, Thunder evolved into a Pikachu because of her happiness. Unfortunately, when she found out that she could change size, the school expelled her for being unfair. Heartbroken, Pablo and Miguel offer to cheer her up by giving her a Thunderstone, hoping to evolve and move on. Thunder rejects this offer but gives it to her brother Ryan, who would visit in the coming years. When Thunder was 17, which was around May of 2024, she received an offer to wrestle other Pokemon and people. However, with some of her opponents being unhappy with her tactics, she left Mexico. And to explain how she meets her cousin, Thunder snuck in a boat that was departing to Alola. She finds her cousin Jay, who came back from surfing. They both agree to visit Ryan for a while, which leads up to Chase goes to school. When they arrive, they celebrate with Burrito Night, and probably take care of Chase after he gets beaten up at school. Thunder comforts Chase by telling her the story about becoming a wrestler. Near the end of Chase Goes to School, around May 2025, Pablo and Miguel arrived to the region after mailing themselves to the Midwest. They got the address from a postcard Thunder sent as soon as she arrived. In the beginning of Fire vs. Water 5, around November of 2025, she gets a job offer at Bartholomew Junior High as a coach. She teaches the girls, including Ralze, and orders everyone to do 20 push-ups. Eventually, she, Coach Elson, and Mr. Park know that Casper got kidnapped, and a red guy is trying to kill off the Pokemon species. Thunder, Geo, and Nibbles were among those listed for Pokemon to be hopefully spared. Thunder partners up with Playtime, Pinky, Pierre, First Prize, and Quest, and tried to rescue Casper and look for souls in the place where she and Pinky were kidnapped and sent to. The girls, along with Pierre and First Prize, managed to find a soul and take the lead in a competition which Thunder grew fond of. When they get to the fire team's headquarters from the Firewater Civil War, Thunder gets distracted by a radio playing her favorite song. She and Pinky get kidnapped by Red Guy, but Pinky is locked up while Thunder is forced to go on a date with Red Guy. That same moment she learns that the Red Guy is Kelly Bartlett, the same guard in Maternal Bonds who mistook her for a boy and Nibbles for a girl. The day reveals to be relatively harmless, until Red Guy reveals that he wants to bang Thunder. Thunder makes it interesting by changing her size and slamming Red to the other side of the mansion, knocking him out. Unfortunately, she can't hold the giant form, and tired out from the strength, and then gets captured by a combine. She's tied up to a chair to be executed, but Geo and Marcus save her life. Geo and Marcus presumably nail the combine's leg to a ceiling fan, and Thunder causes the circuit to spin violently. Before they leave, they find out Kelly had also kidnapped Skid and Pump, who still think it's Halloween even though it's November. They mistake Thunder for a person in a costume having a spooky party for Spooky Month. Thunder frees them both so they can find the party, when in reality, Skid and Pump are just lost in the middle of nowhere and are spooky dancing from outside of the mine. Thunder reminds everyone that giving up is not an option, especially when Marcus is motivated to end the mission. Near the end, Pico barges in from a helicopter and joins the cast, along with the Tankman, Team Fortress 2 Mercs, Jevils, Sans, Baldy, and Golden Freddy. Thunder uses her wrestling skills to kill one of the cult members. Later on, she and everyone else, except for Pico's team, Marcus, Casper, and Eddie, hide back in the mine when Red Guy opens the true Necronomicon. But since a Mimikyu wrote the entirety of the book, its language is indecipherable to humans and unfit for their mentality once they open it, which kills every villain. When the class debates on whether to continue the competition, Coach Elson calls for 3 different members. They end up being Vincent on his team, Marcus on Mr. Park's team, and Playtime on Thunder's team. And that's the end of the story so far. However, to tease part 4, Thunder grows impatient of the lightning round. And that's all of the information you're gonna get.
These two suck at wrestling. Do something interesting.
Do you think she has a specific role in the lightning round? We can only hope. Let me know in the comments which character to summarize next, and I'll get to it soon. Thanks for watching.